All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody so we can get started here. 1 second. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, good. Well, I hope everybody had a great weekend, and glad everybody could tune in here. Real quick before we get started, everything we're going to talk about today is for educational purposes only, and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this, and of course, if you're watching the recording, you can pause it and review it as well as we move forward. Good, 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 good. All right. Well, let's take a look. Well, here's a blank screen right here, but let's get to let's take a look at the market and see where we're at. Okay, so this is the monthly chart so far on the SPX, and yeah, I mean so far, I mean what are we like? We're 1 week into the market so far, and basically we've got a red hammer so far forming on the monthly chart. So what that means is that the quarter is a red hammer, the weekly is a red hammer, and then of course the daily, the last, 5 days of the week, right, made up this hammer. So that's where we are right now. So a little too early to tell on the monthly, but it is still holding. It held the lows of the prior month, so that is something going for it. Futures are actually down right now. I think they're talking about maybe like less trade stuff going on or something like that. Anyway, big trade talks coming this week. I think Monday starts some talks. Thursday are like starts like the big the big wig negotiations and stuff like that. So that's kind of coming up. Anyway, so you can see here, right? So the monthly chart is a hammer. This is basically the exact same thing, right? Because this whole week made up the first week of the month, right? So they're exactly the same. They just look a little bit different in terms of like size and perspective because of the relative size. So really neat stuff. And then the daily, the last 5 days, of course, made up this week, right? So it was a pretty interesting week, right? We had last week, we had an inside day, a little rough day, big gap down, right? And then what did we talk about recently? We talked about the 3-day unfilled gap reversal, right? And so that we got that this week. It was pretty incredible stuff, right? We just talked about it, about a week ago with the street smarts, right? And so we had this big push through this level here and filled that gap last week, and we're pretty bullish in it. So really interesting though. We'll see if we get any follow through on that. But with the futures down, right, we might come back, and now we've got this open gap below. So we might have a 3-day unfilled gap reversal on this for a quick move to fill that gap back into the cloud. So 2 momentum moves with the daily cloud. Very interesting stuff, right? So let's take a look. Let's see what we got here. So let's take a look at the price action, what happened. Well, before we do that, let's see where we're at on the daily chart. So recently, right, we talked about the stochastic being oversold, right, at the pitchfork median line. Now, the fast stochastic works really well on the daily chart with our geometric levels. It just does, right? So when we get to these levels, right, we're overbought here, right? We can tend to see a move. So it's just really good stuff. So when we get to pitchfork median line, we get a little oversold there, right? See a little bounce. And so now we're above this resistance zone, which used to be, right, all-time highs here, right? So all these levels are continuing to get tested. So let's see if they defend that. If not, like I said, there's a gap right down there, and we'll see if we decide to come back down and retest these lows again, which kind of happened here, right? We didn't get quite oversold here, but it came back down and pushed back through until it worked its way back up to the top of the channel. So we can see that, and these are the levels here on the. Let's just make sure I've got these levels right here. So let's pull up October 4th. These are the levels from Friday. So these are the levels that we tweet out for our members before every market open, right? And these are really helpful, right? Because what does price like to do? And we've been talking about this a lot, right? So last week we talked about the shadows and the crucial candles, and so that's something that we deal with every day when we're going to the market, right? And it really helps to go back and kind of go through it and really study and see what happened, with those levels and what the price action did at those levels as price likes to explore different levels. So this is really key stuff yesterday, right? So or on Friday. So we had a gap up. And of course, anytime we gap up, right, one thought of fading that gap, should always be considered, right, because there's always a big magnet right there. So, but we had a gap up, we pushed pretty strong, right, and then we had a couple upper shadows right here, and then we finally pushed through this level here and had a nice move almost to the this weekly S1 level, right. Then we came back down, couldn't quite get below these levels here, so only got about 50 retracement of the big bar right here, and then came back, retested these levels, and it finally got its way back up to here. So now really interesting stuff, right. So this level right here is that big opening gap that we were talking about the other day, and very interesting, right? Look how it filled it. It filled it in one tick right here. It came back, retested it again, and just decided to stay between these new levels, right? So it discovered this gap, and it's like, I'm not sure if I want to get through it yet. And then around 2 o'clock Mr. Powell started talking again, right? And just real quick was this kind of little hint at the economy, saying the Fed's there, not to be, influenced by politics and all that stuff, but basically, we're going to look out for the economy, whatever. A lot of folks were really bearish, kind of going into the weekend, but it really doesn't matter, does it? All that matters is what price tells you, right? And so we had this big bullish bar right here. We finally confirmed above it here, had a nice inside bar right here, right? But it was momentum. It basically, when you see an inside bar like this off of an upper shadow here, right? It's basically saying I like the top of this range, right? Because it left it here in the first 5 minutes, and then in this 5 minutes it hung out there. Does that make sense? Like so here, right? Upper shadow right here, except now on this bar, it's like, no, I kind of like that area, right? So it got bullish with this hammer, and then it worked its way up, right? Came back down, retested the high of that hammer level right here, where it got bullish, right? And then it pushed its way all the way up to the next big level and then kind of drifted up into the close. Really a huge move at the end of the day on Friday. So pretty incredible stuff. So good. Well, today I don't have a PowerPoint today. Really kind of what we're going to talk about today is on the daily time frame, and I want to show, a really cool example of it, is we're going to talk about triangles this week and how they kind of come up, right? And how to trade those. And so the first of those triangles, right, this is all based on Elliott wave theory, and it's really, really good. And we see them all the time anyway, so it's like whether you call it Elliott wave or not, it's still a triangle, right? It's still a pattern. And so one of the things we like to look at is these triangles, right? And so what are they? So basically a triangle is, it comes in a wave B pattern or a wave 4, right? An Elliott wave, and I think sometimes within maybe like a C or a D within a triangle itself, right? So you could actually have triangles within triangles. But for the most part, we'll just kind of focus on the daily and see what we see there. So when we see a triangle, right? So what we want to do is especially if one really stands out at us, is ask, what is it, right? And typically they're in wave, wave 4, especially if they're bigger. And if you can identify it there, then you can identify a future move, because what comes after wave 4? Wave 5, right? And wave 5 is an impulsive wave up, right? You can still trade within a triangle. There's still techniques to trade within there. But once you can identify that triangle, then you can get that impulsive wave up, right? And then you can make some good profit, because that's where the most money is made, on impulsive waves, right? So, I mean, this is, an impulsive wave right here. So we want to catch those, right? We don't really want to necessarily get chopped up in the minutia, but we still need to get cash flow, right? So we want to pick, areas and levels that work for us. So what I'm going to do is pull an example, and a triangle basically is this, okay? So just to kind of show you what it looks like here. So here, a triangle is just going to be like this and this, and this is the symmetrical triangle, right? So you have an A. Oh, okay, and it could be either way, right? But you have an A, you have a B. Actually, I should probably put that in there just to A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so you have these 5 waves in here, right? And each one is basically a corrective pattern, right? So a lot of times there's zigzags in here, so like ABC, 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 right? And it does that, so it's really, really interesting stuff, right? So this is a symmetrical triangle, so it's basically equidistant from top to bottom, right? And so the AC line, the connection between this pivot to this pivot, forms the AC trend line, and the BD forms the BD part of the triangle, right? The BD line. And so eventually it finishes with an E. Now E can overshoot the triangle, right? And if it does, sometimes on news, there might be like negative news or something like that, but if you can catch this on a triangle, right? I'll show an example of that too in a little bit. That actually benefits, and well, we'll talk about it later this week, because there's a different style triangle. Okay, so but really, really cool stuff, right? So when you can identify something like this, especially if it's on a big pattern, right, you can pretty much assume, right, this is a wave 4, right, that it's the end of a wave 4. And the next move up is going to be an impulsive move for wave 5, right? So here would be basically the termination of wave 3, right? And so, 2 came from down here somewhere, et cetera, right? So 2, 3, and then A, B, C, D, E, wave 4 complete, and then up for wave 5, okay? So think it's weird? It's actually pretty cool. So, I was able to spot one earlier this year, or when was it? Actually last year. Goodness. Wow, we've been doing this for a while. Okay, but it's cool. It's fun, right? When you go back through and you look at it, you can see how these things develop. So a lot of times, there's some stocks that really adhere really well to Elliott wave. Now, everything supposedly works well with Elliott wave, but there's some that just work better, right? So if you can't find an easy wave count, if you're messing with Elliott wave and you can't find a wave count, or you can't see a triangle somewhere, or you're just trying to force it or something, just don't force it. Switch to a different stock or commodity or whatever, right? But some of these just work really great, and McDonald's is one of them. It just happens to do really, really well with that. Let me pull that up here. Let's do 3 years on this. Okay. So I was able to spot a triangle on this. I think back here, if you go even farther back, let's see. If I go back, let's say 5 years, you can kind of see the beginning of this, right? So once you see a triangle, like when you identify like a big impulsive move, right? As we've talked about Elliott wave in the past, when you see an impulsive move, right? Then you can kind of start to put things together. It's like clearly this is an impulsive move up, right? So we can assume that's wave 3, right? We have wave 1 and 2 up. Okay, and then what is it doing here? So the cool thing about triangles is if we're getting chopped up for a long time, right? Chances are we're in a triangle. And this, don't forget, Elliott wave is fractal, right? So it's on multiple time frames, right? So if you see yourself intraday getting chopped up, chances are we're in a triangle, right? And so you just have to identify, is it a wave 4 or are we in a wave B somewhere? Okay, well this is clearly wave 4, right? We had 1, 2, it already defined everything for us. Huge impulsive wave 3 up, right? And then look what it did. A, B, C, D, E. I mean, it's almost as textbook as it gets, right? And so this is great. When I saw this, I got super duper excited and was like, all right, well, I'm ready to trade this. Let's do a wave 5 on this thing up. And so how do you calculate the wave 5 once you see this? And so I'll do a fresh screen here. Let me create a new drawing set. Let's call it EW. Okay, so where do I have this? Here. Oops. Here. Here, okay. Pretty close to what I had over there. But anyway, the idea is how can we anticipate how far this is going to go? And so what we do is we just do a line right from the mouth of the triangle right here. Okay, so you go here, you draw that line there, and you can duplicate that, right? You duplicate that there, and then all you do, whatever, didn't grab that one, okay, and you move it to the start of wherever wave E finished, and you draw it up here, and that is your estimate for the end of the next wave. And look, that is exactly what happened right here, okay? So that was what I thought was the end of wave 5, okay? And it makes sense, right? So you had 1, 2, 3, and then you had 4, and then here you go, you had 5. You had a nice impulsive move up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was good, right? But then McDonald's decided to continue to go, and so now we're trying to figure out right now exactly where it is, right? So this actually could be part of wave 5. This could be just the first part of a larger wave 5. So we could have here, this could just be subwave 1, A, B, C 2. Right, and this here could be wave 3, and so what we're looking right now is what is McDonald's kind of up to right here, and let's go back to the main chart right here, and you can see we use our channels to figure out if it's an impulsive wave or not. And so obviously we have this channel up, so this is impulsive, right? This was a great trade right here. This is a zigzag that we had here as we got back to all-time highs, and then it flushed down. That was an awesome short that we had, and then right, it's just been working its way all the way up this channel for a while. And the beauty of these channels is once we get to the top of it, right, once it breaks out of that channel, then the trend is done, right? So it's just like our regular trend lines that we do, and it actually pretty much matches up here, right? So if you go to the highs, we would be intersecting here anyway. So this channel matches our trend line methodology too. Cool. And so so we're breaking out of this now. So once we've broken out of this channel, so what is this? A, B, C, perhaps. And then if that's the case, right, and this is wave 3, and that maybe that is possibly the end of wave 4, then we could be working on an impulsive wave up for wave 5. And so then we could just estimate that, right? So we would just start the beginning of wave 3, and we could do like 1.618 from there, go here to the high, back to the low. So the extension, we could be seeing McDonald's up to 250 to finish this wave 5. So we just had to kind of keep an eye on it. Let's see how earnings goes and kind of go through there. But really, it all came down to identifying this wave pattern was wonderful, because once we can see the chop, especially when we're in it, it's like, what? Oh my goodness, there's the triangle. That's it, right? So A, B, C, D, E, and then it worked its way back up. So that's a symmetrical triangle. And I encourage if you're bored intraday, and you see, something chopping around for a while, during the day, chances are it's probably, working on some sort of triangle. So, just like an example, if we just go to the 5-minute chart here, right, we can kind of see, a little bit. This is kind of a flag, but there are other type of triangles that we'll talk about kind of going forward. But trying to find these things on the shorter time frames is usually a little bit harder, right? Because then you have to, if you find a triangle like say like here, right, you have to go in and you have to go to the 1 minute time frame and try to do some counts in there, and then or go to the ticks and all that stuff. Sometimes it's not worth it to do it on the shorter term time frame as a day trading strategy, but certainly when we can get positioned. I was trying to see if that was a triangle recently, but for this discussion, but McDonald's was really the best example. But once we can identify that, right, then we can figure out how we want to trade in there. So once we can get at, say, once we identify the triangle is forming, like here, we could have traded down to the wave C, could have traded back up to the wave D, and then using these triangle lines as potential targets, right? And then, of course, the impulsive wave up. So once we knew the calculation, right, of this, here, right, once we knew that as a potential, right, what we could do is get here, right? So the idea was up to 190, and then if I remove this here, okay, so it was 190, and then that's one thing that we could look at. So these were the Septembers, right? These were the Januarys. So you could go out to like January 2019 and get try to get like the 190 calls or something like that. And if you get in the money, right, typically that ends up being a good trade. Or you could do call spreads or whatever the case is there. But anyway, keep an eye out for these. If you see a lot of chop and all that stuff, see if you can draw a triangle, and then then try to figure out where in the wave you are, and it could be fun like that. So anyway, so good stuff. I hope you guys found that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can. Try to wrap up by 10:30, so we can get a good night's sleep and have an awesome trading day and an awesome trading week coming up. So good stuff. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hey guys, hey Stacy, hey Eric, how's it going? I'll get to that in a second. Let me just run through these real quick. These were some emails and DMs I got for chart requests, so we'll just run through those real quick. So the first are from Gia, and let's take a look. Let's take a look at Shop. So Shop is looking really interesting, guys. So when you guys see me start to pull out Elliott Wave, right, I start to get really excited, right? So one of the big things here is, and that's why I was kind of excited this week too, because I was like, let's do some Elliott Wave this week. So here, with Shop, I mean, clearly it was an impulsive move up, right? We had this big channel coming up, and then once we broke down out of this channel, I was like, oh, right? That means that the trend is breaking, and especially a long time channel, and an impulsive wave is finishing. So just assuming this is some sort of wave 3 up without even going back and doing the macro wave count, we can kind of start and see how intense this move is. And it was a really, really sharp move down. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So to me, the only corrective pattern that starts with an impulsive move down is a zigzag. So it automatically tells you, right, that we're zigzagging, right? So that means the next move is, right, so you have 5 and then 3 and then 5. And so now the real question is how big and how extended is that 3 going to be, right? So, I mean, it could be, we could say it's A, B, C, and we're done right now, and then we're just going to really, really shoot down like that. I don't think that's the case. We do have a doji here today, or on Friday, so that kind of gives us a little doji sandwich that could work its way back up. Or since it's red, and we got some resistance above, it could be a reversal doji. And if that is the case, then Shop could be very interesting to the short side, right? So we will look for this tomorrow on as it's part of our go-to list for some potential movement tomorrow, right? And if it does, then this is very interesting, right? Because what do we have? So if this is only the part A, then net B, I tweeted this out earlier, could fall. Well, it could fall anywhere, really. It could come here, it could come down here. But unless it's an expanded flat, which is odd in a zigzag, right, it should come down probably about, kind of back in this range. I imagine it would find some support back down here. Once we can see that, A, B, C, then we can get hopefully a nice sharp move up, back up to this cloud area. So I'm hoping for a pullback on Shop, actually, and then going here. So, and the only reason I didn't go long on this the other day, even though it was nice and on volume, is that the risk reward just wasn't there. It was pretty expensive. So if this does pull back, then that could really support the idea of it getting back up to this kind of 350 level. Okay, and and a lot of times these moves, right? The wave Bs here, they like to go like 55% of the initial move down, and so that could get us back up to this 350 range. So we'll see exactly what it's up to right now. So, but yeah, so it's very, very fundamental. But again, this could just be a doji sandwich. We could push ourselves up to the cloud too, because this was a bullish close here, and I could just be have the wrong count on this. So it is what it is, right? So, but yeah, if it's a doji sandwich up, we're definitely going to be watching Shop over the next few days for sure. So a little extended analysis on that one. but I get pretty excited about SHOP. So Lulu. Let's take a look. So Lulu is going to be on the discussion this week for different types of triangles. We do have a downward trend line right here, okay? And so we did have a breakout here the other day, minor turning point right here. So we can see if we can get a bullish close over that over the next couple of days with some volume, and see if we can swing that potentially. SQ, here's one that I missed. Is what it is, right? We have this bullish close, especially a gap right there over this minor turning point right here. We got a little bit of a move up, which is great. And I really wanted to buy, if you guys remember from our conversations here, and anybody who's in the our private group on the live streams at the close, I was like, I just want to catch a little pullback to fill this gap real quick and just buy there and then go up. And look what it did. It came back, it filled that gap, and then went back up. But look, my alert, I just put like 3 cents too less, and it tagged it, and I just totally didn't see it, and then it ended up launching up. So this looks good. I mean, SQ looks pretty good based on that. It's doing everything I expected it to do. That pullback was the real next entry, and then it looks like it could probably work its way back up, kind of close to the cloud there. And then you have CTRP. Okay, CTRP is not on my list, but let's take a look here. See if this is looking any good. Yeah, it's looking pretty interesting. I'm liking these minor pivots right here. So I think it's worth keeping an eye on to see if it can close bullishly above there for a potential shot up to the cloud. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, it does. I think we should add this to the Lotto Fun list too. So we'll add this to our watch list here. So CTRP is going on the list. That's cool. That's a good one. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. And then Okta. Love watching Okta. I mean, it was so strong the other day, and it closed strong on Friday. Really, this was the key day to try to get in here, a little crouching tiger type pattern after this breakout move, and then it started to work its way back up. So now it's just how far is it going to go if the markets pull back? Is it extended at this point? But it got so much volume on Thursday, right? It just hit all these pivots right here, and then it's got this extra. I mean, look, it had more volume than earnings on that day. It was just squeezed a lot of shorts out, and then it's starting to position itself right here. So Okta is still looking pretty strong. Okay, I got one from BSCR. You know who you are, for UPS. Okay, so UPS is looking really, really interesting, right? So this is one that we've recently been tracking. We had an uptrend right here, had a couple minor pivots, and had a very, very bearish close right here this week, right? So the only thing that kept me from shorting it there is that we had this cloud support. Now we did get an upgrade on this on Friday, but to me, well, actually it was low, sorry, but to me it is still looking, well, I mean, it does look like it's kind of holding this cloud right now. This was good, but the only thing we don't have here was volume to support this candle. So let's see if it comes back down and retest that cloud. Okay. Shirley's got sent a few in, so let's take a look at FSLR. She sent a lot in, but I picked the 5 that looked the most diverse and interesting, right? So, oh my goodness, how is this not on our list? Wow, Shirley, that's a great one. Is that not on our list? What have I done? I just need to look at every stock in the stock market at the close. No, we had it on this list. Must not have had the volume or something. Must have had like an upper shadow at the time. Anyway, incredible close on Friday. That's perfect right over this pivot. So surely this looks pretty good. Potential shot up to that 63 level. J&J. That was a good looking candle right there. J&J is looking interesting, right? Came down, right? Had this gap up on, like opioid crisis, settlement, right? Came back down, tagged the bottom of the cloud, and then another big reversal just like everything else. So not quite morning star because this candle is kind of blah. And in fact, a morning star reversal has to be, is a reversal, right? So it would have to occur at the bottom of a downtrend. So this is kind of middle of the road. I don't know. I wouldn't mess with J&J, because it's so like in the middle of the range, right? In the middle of the cloud. All right, Realty Income Corp, the O. Let's see, so that goes here, there. We did a 3-minute video on the bump and run. We're kind of getting started to do one of those. Let's see if it continues up. But so far, so good. It is running into this pitchfork median line, Shirley, so just be careful of that. This is one of the ones that we looked at a long time ago, but it still seems to be adhering to that. So just be careful in this area here. Okay, PYX. Is that what Shirley? Is that what you ask? If I can, I can't remember. Let me pull it up real quick. PayX is what you wanted. Yeah. Sorry, I typed it down I typed it wrong earlier. PayX is it's getting there, right? It's kind of coming out of this crazy, probably a triangle right here because it's so choppy, right? But it's hard to find the start of it. That's the problem with this right here. I mean, it's like maybe just maybe a quick undershoot of that. A, B, C, D, E, maybe, and it's kind of working its way back out, but it's just a little bit sloppy right here. But without doing triangle analysis on it, it is breaking out of the cloud. It is getting over a lot of these pivot areas. Just watch this, some selling pressure right here. So just be careful with that. Okay, and then Coop. Nice one on Coop. Coop's been, not necessarily swingable for a long time, but it's been pretty wild. Here, we had this move up here. Very, very difficult, except for maybe this inside bar down. Right, then we had a hammer bar here, close. Another inside bar here. It likes to move off those inside bars, off of these trend lines, and then back up to these price levels. So just be careful here. It might be running to a little resistance, but nice moves on that. So good. Doc Admin, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in. TTD, let's take a look. Yeah, TTD is getting ready. We had a couple bump and run type scenarios right here, so it's coming up to the macro trend line right here. So let's see how it handles that over the next couple days, right? And then it could be interesting for a potential swing on that. Pay sign, okay. Let's take a look here. So we had this trend line right here, right? That was through the clouds, so that made it a little bit difficult. We have this low here, that pivot right there. So here's your minor pivot. Looks like it closed just about there on increasing volume. I'd like to see one more bullish close with volume to see if we can get back up to kind of that 14 level. And then FSLY. Yeah, so nice turning point pivot right here. Let's wait for a bullish close there. Then see how it handles this downward trend line right here, the macro trend line. I'd rather wait on this one just to see how it handles the macro line because it's right off of the cloud and all that stuff. It might get a little boost off of that. So that's kind of on hold for me there. Hello again, Stacy. Hope you had a great weekend. Eric, good evening. Let's take a look at Apple. Good old Apple. Gosh, that was some interesting trading last week, wasn't it? I mean, look at this. Here, right, it was adhering to this downward trend line, right? And then it had this huge bullish day right here with increasing volume, right? So overnight swing, not a bad idea. And some of our members actually took that and it gave a big push and then gave that topping tail. And then off of that topping tail, what happened here? Evening star reversal, right? Big evening star right here. And then it pushed off of that. And then that reversed back around and formed a hammer. And then it gapped up again. So it's back basically in this range. It's kind of test. Remember what we talked about when we have a bar closed within a shadow? It's saying it wants to, but it's kind of in the middle of the shadow. So I want to see, some closes up here to say it wants to hold those levels. And maybe it'll break there. If it does break there, then I think there's a pretty good shot at it tagging all-time highs. But just be careful here with this gap below. We have a 3-day unfilled gap reversal, right? And that's a possibility as well. So if the futures remain, dismal kind of going into tomorrow, right? We're down 13 right now. Then watch Apple as a potential short candidate. So I'm actually going to put that on the list. Nice one, Eric. Let me put that on there. So Apple is a potential. And then, of course, we'll use our day trading strategies for entries. So we got that. Good. Nice. Harvey, what's happening? I hope you had a great weekend. Doc, oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Alfredo, what's happening? Good evening. Okta. Yeah, we just took a look at it. We can take another look again here. So Okta was huge on Thursday, right? Big day. We did have actually some entries to get in there on Thursday, right? So if it popped up on anybody's radar for increasing volume, etc. But the real entry is here off of this kind of crouching tiger, right, jack in the box type day here, inside day. We're going to talk more about that in next week's newsletter, more than likely. And then a big move off of that, right, inside day up, and then got some continuation. We've got a hammer here, right? See how it closed at the top end of that shadow right there? So it does look very bullish, kind of continuing off of this. But we'll see how the futures hold. If they do hold and things start getting strong again, Okta is looking strong again. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that too. So good. Good. Dustin, what's going on? Good to see you. I just dropped around there. Cool. Yeah, let's take a look at Twitter. Yeah, so it's starting to do some things here. So we had a little inverted bump and run, or bottom reversal bump and run. So here we have this downward trend line right here. So we had a little doji day on Friday. So let's see if we can get above that, get a minor pivot, close above with some volume, and then see how it handles that trend line right there. If it could get above that, maybe we could see that do a cloud break too. MPC. Marathon Petroleum. So this was a definite pump and run here too, right? So big move up. Here's your bump, minor pivot. Actually closed below there. Was really waiting for some increased volume on any of these. It still would have made a decent little swing down that it held, right, those gap levels from the other day, and kind of started to work its way back up. Even closed green with a gap fill here on volume on Friday. So MPC is still looking pretty strong. We'll definitely be watching it here, right, as it holds it. See how it holds this trend line kind of going forward. And then JCI. Okay, JCI is interesting. It definitely looks like it's been holding a channel too, so just that's something to keep in mind too. Let's just take a look here. All right, just something to keep in mind. You know, something like that. So it was channeling up a little bit. It is starting to break down here. So just see how it holds this line here. If it can't hold that, then look for a bearish close below here, and then I think a cloud breakdown could be pretty interesting on it. Let's take a look and just see where it came from. Yeah, there's a gap down here too, old earnings gap. So if this gets weak and closes below that, we may see a breakdown on that, maybe back down to that kind of that 38 level. This does look interesting, and I think is worth tracking. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this too. Cool. Very, very nice. And FCX. Wow, that just looks really downtrendy, right? Like lower highs, lower lows. It's about as big as a downtrend as you can imagine this Freeport McMoran. But anyway, continues to work its way down. Again, that's why we look for this right here on these, right? So you can see this upward trend line right here. We had our minor pivot right here, close over this on decreasing volume. Perfect entry day right here for a cloud breakdown, and then see ya to the downside. So sad that I missed this, and it came all the way down to the fib fan line. But we continue to look, maybe because it's like a little inexpensive, you know, kind of off the radar type thing. But it's still, you know, it can move. This thing can move. Okay, so those areas right there. So see how it handles this trend. It's got dividends coming up too. So good stuff, Sarah. Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Harvey, yeah, let's take a look at DocU. So DocU is being annoying, right? So it had this minor pivot right here, couldn't quite close below that here on this increasing volume day, which is frustrating, right? But then it keeps on putting in these minor turning points right here. But I think in general, it's still looking pretty weak. Somebody sent me some information on this too, like their fundamental data is like really, really bad. But you know, we'll see how long they can hold it up. I do like the fact that it put in this topping tail right here on this red candle. So we'll see if that gets like a little bit of move down, and if maybe this could be the one to really, really flush if the futures, you know, are really awful tomorrow. So that could be interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then Ulta, absolutely. So Ulta is one we've looked at, right? It gapped down really, really hard on earnings, and then you know, it kind of formed this minor turning point pivot right here, and then closed bullishly on increasing volume here. So great swing opportunity right there. That was a massive move on options, and then you know, because I mean, really, that was like from 246. You know, it's a 25 point move. So you know, the options were incredible on that. So it is pulling back right now. So you know, it's had an open gap right here that it filled, has a closing gap down here. So it may come back and kind of retest these levels. So see how it holds this original area right here, that high pivot right here, and the close area right here. So if it can hold that, then it might give another attempt, you know, at a there's kind of its kind of recent trend line right there. Might give another attempt at the cloud. Good. Thanks for tuning in, sir. MTNVR, what's up? Hello, Roku. Let's take a look. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so Roku's getting there, guys. It's trying. We had the first minor pivot here, minor turning point pivot right here. We got above it on Friday, and then we kind of came back in a little bit. So let's see if we can close bullishly above that and look for a potential swing on it. I mean, it looks like it's getting ready. Nefri, Microsoft, what's happening? Hope you have a great weekend. Microsoft is just so nasty. Let's see. So we had this kind of channel that was working its way back up. I mean, it's just been, you know, long-term channel, right? If you activate this, it's just like you can kind of do this, you know, type stuff, you know, something like that. So it's been holding that for a while. Now, you know, I mean, it's tough to say. This could be a triangle right here, right? That's kind of working on in here. You know, if that were the case, right? So A, you know, kind of B, C, you know, D, E. It's got some work to it. It's just really, really nasty right now. So I'm not even messing with Microsoft these days. You know, the key for it: stay above the cloud, get back in the channel, right, and kind of go from there. So, if anything, if it starts to really work its way, the problem is that the channel is really, really high up, right? We're still, fighting these all-time highs. So once you can get above there and it can hold above there, then I think it could probably continue to work its way back up because, Microsoft is Microsoft, right? Document. So you think PanW is developing that symmetrical triangle? Let's take a look. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know PanW has been a little bit messy, but let's take a look at the, let's go to the bar chart on it and just see. Yep, this is kind of something that we've drawn here. So, so let's see. Let's kind of take a look here. So we have A, B, C, D. Let's see if it kind of comes back down and does that. If it does, this could be the finish. Now, this is not like. Now, here's the deal, right? This is one of the things we didn't really talk about. So, with long-term. With triangles, they tend to be a little bit longer term, right? It tends to be a little bit more kind of extended, like that McDonald's one was. So when you see something like this, it's very possible that it's part of a wave B somewhere. So here, we might have. I'm just trying to, it is hard to tell with this. You can go like, because you can kind of bring that up here. It's tough. This is not really fitting, the perfect version, but it is kind of triangulating. I definitely see that. Gosh, if anything, it's been really crazy. It's been really, this is like some sort of crazy expanded flat type move here. Maybe like a one, A, this could be part of B, and then C, and then it could work its way back up. So it's really, really tricky here. So again, the style that you want to see is more of like that kind of how that McDonald's looked there, a little bit more extended, right? So a little bit more like kind of like this type stuff. But it could be a mini triangle going on here. It's just it is certainly consolidating. So what that means is that with this type of consolidation, we might see some expansion coming from it soon because we have this consolidation here, expanded, consolidating right here, expanding. So tough to see exactly where it is in the count right here. It's kind of like that type of thing. So yeah, normally they're not this sharp, but possible. So we'll see. See if it comes back down, tags that again, and then might be worth like a little attempt there. Just be careful. Good, nice one though. Tamir, what's happening? Good evening. MDB. Yeah, let's take a look. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, yeah. So MDB is looking very, very interesting here. So let's go back to the candle chart here. Okay, so MDB is really kind of starting. Again, the only thing I don't like about MDB, I love this candle right here. That was the first breakdown of this downward trend, breakout of this downward trend line, right? I always like to close above it bullishly, but it's got to have increasing volume, and this volume here kind of fell off really quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of a pullback on this. So lots of weak volume on Friday. We had some strong candles, not a lot of volume. So that is always something to be like red flag, type thing. So what's happening? TSM. Good. Yeah, this is looking, bump and runish, huh? Just like that. So let's take a look here. So yeah, I mean, here's your minor pivot right here. So it may chop around a little bit, but a bearish close below here, below this level, could lead back to the trend line. Then we have to see how it handles that trend line right there. So, but that key level here is that turning point there. And then Redfin. Okay, so Redfin's kind of getting there here. We looked at this the other day. It's just still working its way to this trend line, right? So basically the trend is down until proven otherwise. And then FSLY. Yep, starting to get there. I'm liking this this turning point right here. I want to see a bullish close over that, and then it's got to deal with this kind of macro trend line right here. So, but the macro trend line could correspond with a cloud break as well. Leo, what's happening? Melly? Millie chart, please. Yep, you got it. So Melly's looking interesting here. The lowest low. Let's see. The low here was 531.01. Low here was 530.76. So that's the low. So this is the trend line. That's the low. That's your area. So this is a key turning point pivot area right here. So a bullish close right now over this, basically over 370 with some increasing volume, could be very bullish on this thing. How do these options look, by the way? If you go. Let's say I was like, I want to swing it up to the cloud at like 610. only does monthlies on this thing. This thing's crazy. It's $1.40. That could be pretty interesting. I'll put this on the watch list just to see how this thing ends up playing out. So that does look interesting. Okay. Good. Good. Are they SAR? What's happening? Who charted? Nice. Ninja Bear, what's going on? Feeling short on Nvidia, but acoustic strength has me questioning my position. Let's take a look. Yeah, so Nvidia is kind of neat here. Again, same thing. Big breakout of this kind of macro downward trend line right here. I like the close above it. I don't like the volume. So we'll see how it holds this trend line. If it can't hold, then we've got some potential support right here. It still held this gap really, really well, so it may continue to defend that. But just see how it holds this trend line kind of going forward. Okay, and then cost MTN. Yeah, so I'm liking cost. And hopefully maybe they'll get some upgrades this week, and hopefully we get some upgrades this week, and even if the futures are down, maybe Costco would be a good kind of safe haven type stock to go to. Big move right on earnings, and then big move before earnings, and then a big move after earnings, which ended up, I think they had bad earnings, but okay guidance, and then ended up really reversing well. Strong hammer off of the cloud on increasing volume. I love this chart. I'm happy to be a part of it, right? So I think we'll see how it does. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to go to all-time highs, but I think it could continue to work. Let's see how it kind of works out if the market is really, really weak. See if they put some money into it, right? So if not, if it kind of comes back down, it might take some more time, and we might have to look for another entry on it. Is what it is. But good stuff. Wendy, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Hope you had a great weekend. DG. Oh, wow, yeah, so DG, right, there was that first kind of bump right here, right, kind of bump and run type stuff, right? Never really broke down to the downward trend yet, but it's sort of like we said with the other one, which it might do, is, just that's the one thing you got to keep an eye on, is it could just kind of chop to it, right? And so, nice close on Friday. Watch ex-dividend tomorrow. Again, it's just basically still trending up, right? So we have to kind of see how it goes, right? At this point, right, nice close over these levels on increasing volume, so let's see if it can give another push to those all-time highs. It's kind of a little slow mover intraday, but swinging could be interesting. DXCM. Dexcom. All right. Well, here we go. We could just go from here. Here's your low. There's your pivot. Minor pivot right here. Okay. Couldn't close above it here. Did close above it here. Not on decreasing volume or on decreasing volume. So just kind of watch out for it right here. Again, this is the new pivot level. So, let's see if we can get there, close above it bullishly one of these days, and then possibly try to work its way out of the cloud. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. Sorry, Netflix looks like a Pythagorean formation. Cool. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's getting there, right? So big downward trend line from before earnings, right? So the trend has just generally been down. Once it touched it again, like right back down, and we just hit it again on Friday. So we're starting to look bullish, but again, it's got to get over this for me at this point, and let's see how it handles that at this point. So again, the trend is down until proven otherwise. It does have earnings coming up soon. So Harvey, cool. Yeah, I think I got it. Didn't I get Docu and Ulta? We went through those. So good. You're good. Leo, what's happening? Google. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, let's take a look. So Google, when is that earnings coming up? I don't really track Google so much anymore because it's just been so difficult to actually trade. But yeah, so earnings coming up, end of the month. Decent move obviously on Friday, but again, like I said, everything was on decreasing volume on Friday, so that was kind of, as we see the futures down this morning, it's like, but everything was so bullish. Yeah, but that nobody was convicted, right? Nobody was involved, right? So that's the scary part when you kind of see those. It's kind of like a bull trap, right? So at this point though, I would kind of avoid Google. It's just been so choppy in here. Nothing is really clear on this guy. I mean, you have this, but it still needs to get over that trend line, and when it does, it just trades so awful these days, and the options have been horrible. So very, very messy stock to trade. So that's just my overall take on it. But again, track this trend line right here. Right now, it is below it. So see how it does. Maybe they'll continue to push it down again, and then it'll have like this stellar earnings. I don't know if it'll give two stellar earnings again. Like it was so high up here, it gapped down 100. It was so low down here, it gapped up 100, right? And then now, are they going to do the same thing again? It's hard to tell. But I imagine the premiums will be pretty inflated. So if anything, maybe selling some premium will be good going into it, as they increase. So something to think about there. Bob, what's going on? Good to see you. Doc, my pleasure. Bob, let's take a look. DE? Yeah, absolutely. So DE, look at this. Look how complex this has been, right? So it definitely works. Once it does it, it's just like, okay, when is it going to do it? So anyway, big turning point pivot right here. Couldn't close below it. Starting to work its way back up. So again, at this point, just see if it can push through these highs and maybe push through the other sides there. In general, it is pretty bullish, but it's still it's basically within this trend line now. Okay, just poked its head above that trend line again. So see if we can hold that. That's kind of key. Then maybe it'll chop around a little bit, give us a little cup and handle, cup, handle, and then break. So keep an eye on the MACDs and all that stuff on that one for sure. Good. Nahas, how's it going? FSS? Let's take a look. Yeah, Federal Signal Corp. Let's take a look here. So, from this low here to the high, here's your trend line. Okay. And then it gave a little bump and run. Here, a little bit of breakdown. Now it's just kind of chopping around this area. Let's see how it handles it, right? At this point, it's got to get above these levels to get bullish again. Right now it's chopping. It might just chop to the trend line, but watch for a bearish close below this minor pivot right here, and it might take it back down to the trend line a little bit faster. Okay. Dimitri, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Ninja Bear, ACB. Let's take a looky look. Yeah, it was starting to really get there, guys. But again, fell off at the end of the day, or fell off on Friday and decreased volume. So let's see, but it did form a nice little minor pivot right there. So we'll watch that over the next couple days, see if we can get above it. CMG. Yeah, congratulations to anybody who traded this off of the fib fan line like we talked about, right? Had a big bounce off of there and some continuation. Now, it did have decreasing volume too, but still, that was a nice move off of the fib fan line on that one. Shop, we definitely looked at pretty extensively at the start here, but again, generally, we'll see how this doji day handles, right? It could be a doji sandwich up, or it could be a doji reversal, right? Decreased volume, it's a doji. Let's see. Right, so I personally think it's going to pull back maybe kind of this into the 300 range and then give another shot at 350, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. So Tesla, big gap down the other day. That was awesome. We talked about straddles here. Those ended up being good for 7 points on that move down. Now we just kind of have this kind of choppy doji day right now. So it's got some work to do, but it has had some really stellar moves. So we'll see how that, if we can get some good moves intraday. And then Beyond, Beyond's going to move when we're least expecting it. But I am watching it here, right? So we have this downward trend line right here. We have this minor level right here. Let's see if we can close bullishly above that with volume, and then we have another move up to the cloud, right? Eventually, it may go down and fill that huge gap that's below, right? So this thing has been magnetized, for a while. It just can't seem to get below these kind of support zones right here. So we just have to kind of keep an eye on it and see how it sets up for us. So we're still eyeing it though. So Bob, yeah, early on, yeah, it happens. Ninja, I'm asking the real charting here. That's right. Nice. Harvey, good newsletter. Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, it was a fun one. It was a good one. Lots of good stuff. We delved into a lot of cool concepts there. So good stuff. Awesome, man. Thanks for commenting on it. Good. All right, guys. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Great chart requests tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed a little bit about the triangle. We're going to talk about a couple different triangles kind of going forward this week, and let's go for more. That's right. And yeah, so everybody have a good night's sleep tonight, and looking forward to a good trading week this week and a good trading day tomorrow. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Appreciate your support. Please check out all the links in the description, and remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night, Ninja. Appreciate you guys.